Well, hi everybody. It's Susan Fleischman with ZTV Live, and our first of a couple of special episodes of ZTV Live highlighting Spring to Action 2021 with some of the organizations that have taken place with Spring to Action and that really benefit from the generous day of giving that Alexandria takes part in every year. This week, we're focusing on some of the arts organizations and how they've been affected by the pandemic and how they have pivoted during the pandemic. So I would like to introduce, I'll say your names very quickly, Melinda Kurtz from the Alexandria Arts Alliance and the Alexandria Symphony Orchestra, Mr. Ulysses James from the Washington Metropolitan Philharmonic Association, and Michelle Kozlak from the Alexandria Arts Alliance, as well as the Arts on the Horizon. Thank you all so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Sure.
Sure.
I'll just begin with you, Melinda. You're top right of the screen, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to you first. Can you kind of speak to some of the steps that you took to pivot during the pandemic because the arts were just so somewhat unfairly, really targeted and the shutdown of crowds gathering.
Yeah, our organization was definitely hit hard by it. We're all about mass gatherings, which was very difficult to do in the last year. So we had our season finale that was canceled last April. Pretty much our entire season this year was also postponed to the coming year. And so in the interim, we've been doing virtual performances. We did a holiday concert and a spring event that we streamed online called Garden Sounds, which is the first time we've really done anything like that before. It's recorded performances, and we were able to stream them and allow the public to see them for free. We also did some outdoor performances with small groups, trios, quartets, quintets in senior living facilities, at home associations, communities, and parks where we could. And so reaching really a different demographic than we ever had before, but certainly not in the numbers that we have in the past. And of course, upped all of our fundraising.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's putting a very positive spin on it, reaching people that you haven't before. But there's a silver lining, I guess, in every cloud. And I'm just going to continue clockwise and put the question to Michelle.
Yes, so my organization, we work with children ages 0 to 6. So it was definitely a really challenging experience for us about how do we take what we do and, put it into a virtual world. And so we definitely pivoted and moved our summer camps online. And so that was the first thing that we did. We also put different performances together that were virtuals. We do nonverbal physical theater. So we were looking at ways that we can, still reach our audiences in a virtual way, but, trying to do that was really challenging. So we did a new show that launched in February of 2021. We also did an episodic show where we launched an episode every week for 6 weeks, and that launched in the October-November timeframe.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, it was the online. Thank God for online, right? This would have been very difficult to do without the internet. Ulysses, can you give us a snapshot of what happened at your organization?
Sure. Uh, we've had the same problems as everyone else as well. And so we stopped performing in April. We had two performances left, and we had to cancel those, of course. And the big question in our minds was how are we going to maintain contact with the patrons and the orchestra, if at all possible? Well, we chose to continue what we usually do in the summertime, which is we have a chamber music series that's been going on for 30 years at the Lyceum in Old Town, and we then decided to continue those, and at first started the live stream, but the live stream process didn't work well because of the lack of email support or network support at the Lyceum. So we decided then to actually record and then broadcast performances, and it's almost been every week with few exceptions. We're up to performance number 28 this coming Sunday. This at 3 o'clock. They're always at 3 o'clock, and afterwards are on demand for anyone who wants to watch. The response has been good. The average viewership is probably around 400, 500, and it's been as high as 1,000 or more than 1,000 actually. So I think that was the most successful thing we've done, and we're going to continue to do it until September 12th, and that will give us 48 different performances. This is all done with musicians who are playing for free. There's no charge, obviously, for looking at them. And the musicians themselves are delighted because they don't have a place in general to perform. And so it's viewed by them as a real plus, and certainly for us as a real plus. We also tried to do a little virtual performing. Some of the folks in the orchestra put some things on YouTube and things like that. But generally speaking, I find that musicians do not like to sit in their living room or their kitchen or whatever and play solo and try to then match it with 40 other people or 20 or 5 even. It's not the same as playing in a group. So we've kind of just not tried to do that for probably 2 months. It doesn't seem to work. But we are maintaining contact with our patrons.
Excellent. That's almost a pivot within a pivot that you had to do there with the issue with the internet signal at the Lyceum. But I'm glad that you found a way to get through. And wow, 48 performances, that's quite a bit. I just wanted to take one quick second to tell the audience, and if anybody's watching, if you have any questions at all, please go ahead and write a comment in the comment box, and we can hopefully get those questions answered. And if we can't get them answered, we can get back to you with the answer. Let's move on to we all know that Spring to Action is coming, and I believe that it's really been a lifeline for you. Certainly last year it turned out to be a lifeline because it was when the curtain was coming down, no pun intended, but it was really dire when Spring to Action happened last year. Michelle, I'll start with you. Can you speak to the impact that the donations made from Spring to Action last year?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that we wouldn't have been able to do any of the programming that we did this past season, and we couldn't have kept our artists working. I mean, that was the major thing for us, is that those donations really gave us, a source of funding that we weren't sure, like, how are we going to make this happen? We weren't getting any income in. Most of the programs that we did provide were things that were done for free, and so we weren't even charging. And without those donations, it wouldn't have made that possible at all.
Yeah. Melinda, I'm going to ask you to chip in.
Yeah, the timing was really great. It dovetails with the end of our fiscal year. And so we were really excited that we had the opportunity to participate like we usually do every year and include that as part of our end of year giving. This year, we're really excited too, because we're going to be highlighting our education program, which has kind of continued even through this a difficult time virtually. We serve 2 Title I schools. The program's called Simpatico. It's a before and after school program, no prerequisites. We have lots of kids that are participating in John Adams Elementary and Patrick Henry K-8. And this is something we kind of see Spring to Action as like a crowdsourcing event. You can give $5 or you can give $1,000, but to really give all in that one day and put all your efforts into that, it's really exciting for us every year.
Excellent. Ulysses?
Well, the Spring to Action for us has been probably the most important fundraiser we have every year. And in past several years, not this past year, we've made as much as $30,000 from donors who have supported us. And that has really been a very, very significant income producer. This last year, we thought, well, people really have a lot of things they have to worry about and support. We would not push so hard. So we thought maybe if we asked for half of that, uh, we would be happy. And lo and behold, we wound up having $22,000 of donations last year. So it was a great, great, great donation. It was a wonderful gift to us. We couldn't have asked for anything more, and we were so pleased. And this year, we're going to go back up again and see if we can uh, push the $30,000 mark again, because the only way we survive is through donations and ticket sales and occasional grants. And of course, we get a good grant from the city too. But uh, we always have our hands out, and we're very, very fortunate to be part of Spring to Action.
Yeah. It is so difficult to raise money even in the best of times, and then if you throw in a pandemic and it gets doubly worse. What were some of the more specific challenges that each one of you met? Raising the money even as people around were, there was food insecurity and there was other things, and you could argue that the arts are not an essential. You could argue it. I would disagree, of course, that the arts are not an essential service, but we sure did find that all of us, certainly reaching to the arts and finding comfort and solace in the arts when the pandemic first descended on us. Anybody jump in?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the case we kind of made is we want to be here for you even when this is over. That we are always considered, not on high priority in philanthropic giving. The arts is usually in the 3% range of overall giving of all the different charities that people can give to on a national level. So it's always a difficult thing for us to make a case for the arts. But the arts is really important because it's there, like we said, as an opportunity for healing, an opportunity to be together, even if it's in a virtual format. To really contemplate some of the greater questions in life and feel like you can be uplifted even in times of sadness and sorrow. I mean, it's really been something that I think people have turned to even more now than in normal times. And so we really didn't pull back on our asking at all. We pretty much went out with our solicitations right away. We changed the message over time because there were things that were more pertinent at certain times, but the arts needs to exist even in hard times, especially in hard times. And we want to be here for the public when we're able to get back and be together again. And we want to do it in a way that we can come back strong.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Michelle, I have a question for you. And it was something that we were speaking about before we came on the air, but how much time, percentage-wise, are you kind of spending? Melinda just mentioned kind of grants and that kind of thing. What kind of time are you spending navigating? At one point you're grateful for the grants that are available to you, but it's a bit of a paper trail, is it not?
Yes, I mean, I would say that probably my time has doubled in what I'm spending in terms of fundraising and, looking for grants and applying for funding, through the government or through, the state arts organizations are providing funding, which we're so grateful for. I'm not sure that we would have been able to survive, without that funding this last year. But I think what's been really hard is like how we can balance, creating these new programs. We're working in a format we don't normally work in. We used to live performances. So we've been learning how to work virtually. So like there's that part of it in addition to these new things that we've been, having to look for in terms of funding. And I think it's just been hard to kind of juggle everything all at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Ulysses, is that your phone ringing? But Ulysses, can you kind of speak to the fundraising challenges? You mentioned it a little bit before that you spend a lot of your time doing it, but are you finding yourself having to come up with new channels for that?
Somebody's calling up. I don't know why they. Sorry.
That's
Time to
okay.
unplug the phone.
Yeah. It's the beauty. It's the beauty of being on live. In case anybody thought this was really pre-recorded, now they know it wasn't.
Okay. Now the question is.
Yep.
Uh,
The question
Okay.
is, and in terms of the lifelines coming to you, it's so difficult to navigate the bureaucracy of finding out the grants and the PPE and the PPP and everything else coming to you. I mean, how time consuming was that for you?
um, maybe we're approaching this in a different way. I don't know. We don't. We have not had that kind of a problem, mostly because uh, we have not gone after uh, the sorts of grants I think that Michelle and so on and Mindy have mentioned. We've gone after payroll, what was it, PPP grants from the federal government and been successful in getting those for two times. Other than that, we haven't really had any effort uh, to go after grants other than those. I don't know that that's a good thing, but in the past when we've tried, we haven't been very successful at it. And I think part of that is who we are. We're a nonprofit, smaller community orchestra. And that's not the same as, for example, what Michelle is doing with children. I think that's a much more attractive thing for people who are doing grants than uh, for us. And then um, that means that we have a lot of more time to do other things, I guess. But we really don't have a great go get grant structure. And perhaps Melinda, in your spare time, maybe you could come join us. Fine.
All my spare time.
Yeah, right.
But we do spend a lot of time cultivating our patrons and trying to be really good to them. So the major part of our operating expense is from patrons, donations, and of course what I've already mentioned. Um, our budget is different too because we don't pay every musician who's in the orchestra. We pay section leaders per se, principals, and we do pay people who solo with us. Uh, I do not get paid very much. For years, maybe 25 years, I did everything for free. So it's an entirely different uh, uh, financial system that we operate off of, and it works. We're probably moving more towards the way that Alexandria Symphony operates as we decide to become a professional group. But that is a very, very difficult step. And it's something that we're contemplating, and we were really contemplating it a lot before the pandemic hit. The pandemic hit, and we said, nice try. You better cool it, man, and just pay attention to what you got.
Yeah.
So who knows what's happening in the future? But we don't spend the time doing what they have done.
Right.
Plus, we don't have the staff.
Mm-hmm.
Melinda is a staff person that takes care of that stuff. We don't have that kind of thing.
Oh, that's fascinating. And definitely something that you can table that for now, as they say, any of those plans until it comes on. One thing I what would like all of you to talk to is what your kind of your goals for 2021 are. And we're one quarter of the way into the year, and things are definitely looking up. And I know that we're all hoping to get back to in-person stuff soon, slowly, cautiously. Vaccinations are happening, but what are your plans for 2021, and what are how can people help you reach those goals? Melinda, let me start with you.
Sure. So we're kind of seeing July 1st, which is also the turn of our fiscal year, to be kind of returning to normal operations. Our orchestra does an outdoor birthday celebration concert at the annual Alexandria Birthday Celebration, and we're at this point planning on doing that. The city has already asked us to perform. If they're able to do mass gatherings at that point, but I think that is our hope. And then our season would start in October, and we're hoping to start in October, and our education program to go back to in-person learning in September when the school year opens. So we don't know if capacities are going to be reduced or classrooms are going to be less than 100%, but we're at this point planning to try to start to resume our normal operations at that point.
Terrific. And what can the community do, or your donors? I mean, obviously, donations are your lifeline. What else? I guess go to the concerts, right? As soon as they're up.
Yeah, we're really hoping that our patrons will return. We know there was some that will be probably hesitant, maybe hadn't been vaccinated yet, or not meeting in large groups. So we know we're going to probably have some reduced audience sizes. We do rely on donations even in normal times. People probably don't realize this, but for an orchestra, the average is about 75% donations and 25% ticket sales, even in a normal year. So even that concert that you see on stage, your ticket doesn't totally pay for it. It's really relies on generosity of donations to make it happen.
Wow. Michelle, can you speak to that? Some of your goals for 2021?
Sure. Yeah. I think the big key word for us is outdoor. So we're moving everything that we're doing to an outdoor format. So our summer camps are going to be in person. And we are moving it to outdoors with tents. And, when it's a rainy day, we have an indoor space for that. But we're really trying to kind of start with that as our first programming that we're doing in person. And then from there, we're doing outdoor performances in the fall. I think there's still some uncertainty as to whether we can gather indoors, and, children are going to be the last to get vaccinated. I think, there's definitely some studies that are being done which are really promising, that are showing, now kids who are over 12 can get vaccinated. But I think we're just concerned about what we'll be able to do. So we've been moving things outdoors, and also we're excited to kind of get back. Our shows are very sensory based and really, should be done in an intimate setting, but in person is really the way for us. And so we're excited to try and get back into that in the fall.
Excellent. And how can people support you? What's the best way for people to support the work that you do?
Absolutely. I mean, definitely, as Bindi said, donations and attendance are super important. But also for us, we have an Amazon wish list and of items that we need in terms of our summer camps. All these things that we're having to purchase that we don't currently own, like I mentioned, the tents and the PPE cleaning supplies, and a hot spot we're having to have outdoors for the camps. There's just so many things that you don't realize that you will need to do just to make that programming happen.
Yeah. The Amazon wish list is a wonderful tool, and I know a lot of organizations are using it because sometimes people, want to know where their money is going, and that's such a wonderful way for them to be able to give and really feel like they are definitely helping you and they're filling a need, because people.
Yeah, it's like a tangible item, right? That they can say, I purchased this item for you to be able to use.
Absolutely. And where can, we can get to that in the end. I realize I neglected to put your website addresses up here, but I can actually fill that in. We can put it in the comments at the end, but maybe you can just give us your website address right now if people wanted to. I'll start with you, Michelle. What's your website address?
Sure. It's artsonthehorizon.org.
artsonthehorizon.org. And Melinda?
It's alexsym, ALEXSYM, zenmary.org.
Okay, terrific. Okay, Ulysses, back to you, to the question of your goals for 2021 and what can the community do to help you reach them?
Well, we currently have three orchestras. I should mention the other two as well. We have a high school orchestra and we have a middle school orchestra. And both of them are, well, they're called the Washington Metropolitan Youth Orchestra and the Washington Metropolitan Concert Orchestra. And they've been very, very busy virtually working and very, very diligent programs, independent of the WMP, Washington Metropolitan Philharmonic. And I should have mentioned those as well. However, they're self-sufficient, and that's because of the fact that they charge tuition to play, and of course also get donations. But our Washington Metropolitan Philharmonic's plan is to hopefully begin rehearsing in September, immediately after the chamber music series stops. And we have the entire season programmed already. It's just a question of whether or not the glimmer of a possible comeback is going to become a reality. My personal opinion is there's a good chance that we'll be able to proceed. The question about whether or not we'll be able to have an audience of any size and how that will work is another question, especially since there's so many people who are not wanting to be inoculated. In addition to which, people are going to be fearful of getting into a large organization, a large space with a lot of people. But hopefully that will not be a problem, and we'll see. I also think there's a lot of pent-up demand to get out and listen and find good music. I think that's going to break the whole thing open in some way. But I hope it's not another pandemic. We are proceeding. We're doing the best we possibly can to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like your optimism on that. That people really are desperate for live music and to see performances again. And so I think that we're all in agreement that we're ready for that as soon as possible. Thank you all so much for joining us today and for sharing your hopes and your challenges. We just appreciate it. We are so appreciative of all the work that you do for Alexandria. It's a rich city here with wonderful organizations such as yours. And the theme this year for Spring to Action is resilient. And I think that what I've been hearing today is just showing the resiliency of your organizations and of you guys, because organizations really are made of people, and you guys are the people that are making things happen and doing such wonderful things for Alexandria. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of the Zebra and on behalf of everybody watching tonight. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Thanks very much.
Okay, we'll see you soon. All right, take care.
Oh, traffic.
Yeah, I will. I'll put that out for you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
You too.